This is Koiro, and today we are continuing with our Christmas calendar project. And the first episode was about an IBM PC. And I was thinking that today we are continuing that saga. And what I had in mind is this. And this was one of IBM's first offering when it comes to a lodgeable or carriageable computer. That's not totally true, because they had a portable version of the first IBM PC with a CRT display. But this was one of their first offering with anything that was remotely carriageable by today's standards. And this machine is a machine that I actually bought. I do have 3 of these machines. And we will do some close-ups. But this machine has a design that's been copied by others afterwards. And the idea with a keyboard as part of the lid, that's actually something that's been in the computer business for a long time. And it's an heritage from Osborne and the Commodore 64 SX line of computers and so on. This machine is in rather good condition, and as I started to say earlier, I have 3 of these machines, and I have never tested this particular specimen, but both the 2 others I have different issues. One has a main board with some instability, and both of them have floppy issues, and the plasma display is quite bad on one of them. But this is a machine I actually bought recently, and I did not pay much for it, and frankly these computers are starting to die on us, so I don't think they're worth that much, but they do have some nice features. This special machine was sold by the Norwegian company Landbruksdata, and IBM was sold through a special set of dealers back in the day, and it was not everyone in Norway that could sell IBM. And this machine has the fold-out floppy, and it has this display that also can fold out and be more ergonomic. I will do some close-up of this machine and explain some more of its features when I've moved the camera. The keyboard is detachable like so, and it has this standoff to make it more forward-leaning. It do have a special keyboard connector that's not found in any other place. The plug here is detachable, and the keyboard itself is actually PS2 compatible. I do have one of these keyboards that I actually have attached a PS2 connector to, so I can use it on a standard computer. And these keyboards is really nice to type on. I've never met a keyboard like this that's actually stopped working. But this is not the buckling spring and other technologies that's on the IBM computers, and this keyboard was actually made by a different Japanese manufacturer. And as often was in these days, the things that IBM outsourced was outsourced also to high quality companies. And this keyboard is made in Japan, as I said. I do think it's an Alps keyboard inside every one of these. I'm not totally sure, but I think it is. The floppy drive is 1.44 megabyte, and as I said, it slides out like this. This is a 386 computer, and the inwards of this computer closely resembles some of the other 386 PS2 microchannel machines. So this machine does not have ISA expansion board. It does have the microchannel that was IBM's next generation expansion bus. As I said, the display slides out like so to be more ergonomic. The keyboard cable is detachable from here. We have the on-off switch over here. It's not the huge red variant that we like with IBM, but some white flip switch like this. And if we turn the computer around, you get to see this part. And here you have an expansion plug. You have the output for a PS2, and I think this is a mice connector. And you have a standard, I can open the lid like so, of course. And here you have the parallel port and the RS-232 port. And there also is a VGA port that's over here, so you can connect a VGA monitor. And here you have two microchannel expansion buses. And this first port is actually equipped with a card. And in this special machine, this is a token ring network card that's in this box. And here you have a lid over the power connector, and this is a standard power connector. And that's it really for the outside of this machine. And as I said, this machine is a really recent purchase. I think it's about a year ago that I got this. And as I started to say, this machine is in two different variations. It's this 70s model that has a 386, and it's also a 486 model. And there also was, I think, three variations of this computer with different hard drive sizes and different revisions of the main board. I do not remember from the top of my head what the differences was. In this series, we do the opposite of what Dave from Australia says. He says, don't turn it on, take it apart. I say, turn it on, don't take it apart. And it's switching off. Like so, and as usual we do have a bit of a glare on the screen, but I might turn off the overhead lights before I try to start it. Like so. And then we can watch in on the surprise better, and if there are some sparks or some flames or something, we will see it better with no overhead lights. This video is about the IBM PS2 model P70. And this machine was in some markets nicknamed the sewing machine, because when it was all put together and the lid was on, it did resemble a sewing machine in some way. The machine was launched in two variations, one with a 386 DX16 and one with a 20 MHz CPU. And the standard unit had 4 megabytes of memory, but you could expand it up to 16 internally. And the machine launched with IBM's own version of DOS, the PC-DOS, not the MS-DOS, and the machine has one built-in 1.44 megabyte 3.5-inch floppy drive. The machine was launched with at least two different hard drive sizes. It's 60 and 120 megabyte. And the keyboard was a special unit that was made with switches from the Japanese company Alps, that made this company with a technique called plate spring. And it's not the same as the buckling spring keyboard, and I do think it has a quite distinct feel, and I often use this keyboard to type on my computer, as I have converted one of these keyboards to a PS2 connection. And the display was a 640 by 480 amber plasma display that was able to output VGA, and this was a 16 color interface. I am not sure if it can display more than 16 variations of color even if you connect it to an external display. The machine had 2 MCI expansion slots, and our machine has a token ring adapter in one of the slots. The whole beast weighs about 9 kilos, and it was launched in 1989. It's a typo in this presentation. It should be in 1989. The reviews when this machine came out was, they was kind of mixed. It did get some pepper because it was slow, it did get some pepper because it was heavy, and it did get a lot of attention because the design was so unique, but it didn't bring much to the table in regards to the machines that we have seen before on this channel, among others from Toshiba that was launched in the same area. And here they gave this machine a score, and they later come and they said that it was not so slow after all, but it's not much to say. It's just the disk access that's been upgraded. There was some BIOS settings or something that held this back in the first review. And this was actually IBM's third attempt for a carriageable computer, and in 1984 they come out with this beast, the 5155, that actually contains original motherboard and just unique power supply and built-in amber display. This is a CRT screen, and this machine was launched the same year as this machine from Commodore that have a similar design, although the screen on the Commodore is a bit smaller, and also the Commodore SX64 was the first color portable computer. And the second attempt was the IBM Convertible. And the reason this was called the Convertible was because you could disconnect this screen so that you could use this as a normal desktop computer in ways when you connect this to an external screen. And this was in 1986. And in 1989 they launched this beast, the P70. And it also was a version that called the P75 that was a 486, but otherwise they are, I think more or less the same machine. And the service manual for this machine is available online. I think that this manual is above average for a 1989 service manual, but it's quite clear that IBM is not giving away more than they need, so they've learned a thing or two about how to not reveal every information possible, as they did with the original IBM PC and kicked off the clone market. And it starts, it turns, you do hear the hard drive. I do not see anything on the screen yet, not even some flicker of light. I don't see any status lights on the keyboard. So it seems that it might be stuck on a boot up process or something. I can take one more shot and try to start it again. Now I do hear some seeking sound on the hard drive, but nothing else. But this display seems totally dead. And also there used to be a light in the keyboard for numlock or caps lock, but this also appears dead. I will give it some more minute. I will actually go and get one of the other units so we can try to start that one instead. Yes, it do smell retro electronics in here. The smell of old capacitors and leaky batteries. Sorry to say. This is actually not the third unit I have. This is actually a fourth unit I have. I didn't count that earlier, and this is the unit that I borrowed the original keyboard from. And I will try to turn this on. I've never actually tried this one either. It looked to be in a rather bad shape when I got it. Yeah, and this does not start at all. I do think that was the fault with this. Yeah, that was so far I got in this episode, and it's a bit sad for me really, because we have tried 3 Toshibas so far in this series, and every one of them started, and the Toshiba have the same vintage as these IBMs. So is this a sign that IBM has lower quality than Toshiba? I'm not one to say. Maybe the IBMs have been used harder, maybe they have worse quality. I'm not sure. But this was for this installment in my Christmas calendar series. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next installment. To be sure to not miss that one, please hit like and subscribe. See you in the next one.